Most people believe economic freedom was lost slowly, over centuries, through wars, crises, and political decisions. But what if that isn't true? What if economic freedom wasn't lost at all? What if it was sold, deliberately traded away for a system built on infinite debt? A system that quietly controls your choices, your future, and even your definition of wealth. And what if the clues were hidden in plain sight, across old financial treaties, secretive banking reforms, and economic events that seemed accidental, but weren't? Today, we uncover the story behind why economic freedom was sold, who sold it, and how that system still runs your life without you ever noticing. Stay with me, because once you understand this system, you'll never look at money the same way again. The world before infinite debt ***. To understand why our modern system runs on endless borrowing, we first have to travel back to a time when money wasn't created by typing digits into a computer, and governments couldn't print their way out of problems. The year is 1870. Most major countries use the gold standard, where every paper note must be backed by actual gold in a vault. It was simple, it was strict, and it was real. Key figures like Sir Isaac Newton, who once managed the Royal Mint, insisted that money must be tied to something that cannot be manipulated. Economists of that time believed a strange thing, that debt must be temporary, not permanent. So how did we go from that world to this world, where countries owe more money than exists, banks lend money they never had, and inflation silently steals wealth every year? The answer begins with a crisis that governments couldn't fix, unless they broke the rules. The first cracks in the system ***. The early 1900s brought chaos, wars, industrial change, and explosive population growth. Governments suddenly needed huge amounts of money. Money they didn't have and gold couldn't match, so they bent the rules. In 1913, the U.S. created the Federal Reserve, a private central bank empowered to create new money. It was presented as a solution, but it was actually the first major trade. Some economic freedom was exchanged for the convenience of controlled money supply. Then came World War I. Countries suspended the gold standard to pay for war expenses. They promised to return to it. Most didn't. Real freedom slipped away quietly, replaced with the idea that temporary debt is necessary for stability. It wasn't temporary. It was the beginning of the rise. How infinite debt became the new normal ***. After the Great Depression, global leaders met at Bretton Woods in 1944. This is one of the most important financial events in modern history, and also one of the least understood. Two men shaped the modern system. John Maynard Keynes, the British economist who believed governments should borrow endlessly during crises, and Harry Dexter White, the U.S. representative who wanted the dollar to dominate global trade. Together they designed a new world. All major currencies would be tied to the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar would be tied to gold, and the U.S. would control the gold. Countries agreed because it seemed stable. But there was a twist, a flaw, a hidden ticking bomb. The U.S. printed dollars faster than it had gold to back them. Other nations began demanding gold in exchange. By the late 1960s, the U.S. realized it had printed too much. Far too much. That led to the breaking point. The day economic freedom died ***. On August 15, 1971, President Richard Nixon went on live television. He told the world the U.S. would temporarily suspend the gold standard. Temporary? It was permanent. In one announcement, the link between money and reality was cut. For the first time in history, money was no longer backed by anything. It became pure trust. Pure belief. Pure paper. This wasn't a small decision. It was the moment humanity crossed a line. We replaced limited money with limitless money. We replaced earned wealth with borrowed wealth. We replaced economic independence with economic control. This was the true moment economic freedom was sold. Not lost. Sold. The era of infinite debt begins ***. Once money became unlimited, debt became normal. Then expected. Then necessary. Here's what happened immediately after 1971. Inflation exploded. Housing prices skyrocketed. Wages stopped rising. Debt became the only way to survive. Governments borrowed more. Banks loaned more. People were encouraged to finance everything: cars, homes, education's lifestyle. Debt became the engine of the economy. If people stop borrowing today, the entire system collapses. That's how deep it runs. And it gets worse, because every dollar in circulation today was created as debt. That means, if all debt was paid off, the money supply would disappear. Think about that. The system requires debt to exist. The chain must never stop. Economic freedom wasn't just sold. It was traded for a system that can only survive through infinite borrowing. Why every solution makes it worse ***. Whenever the system begins to crack, governments fix it with the same tool. More debt. 2008 crash. Print more money. 2020 crisis.
Print 10 trillions dollars globally.
Bank failures. Print debt ceilings. Raise them. Every fix requires the poison that caused the problem. And each fix makes the system more fragile. Today the world owes $315 trillion. More money than exists. Governments owe more than they can repay. Consumers owe more than they earn. Banks are leveraged beyond logic. This is not an accident. It's a feature of the system designed in 1971. But here's the twist. We've seen this pattern before. The pattern's repeated across history ***. Empires fall the same way. 1. Money becomes weaker. 2. Debt becomes larger. 3. People lose purchasing power. 4. The middle class collapses. 5. A new system replaces the old. The Roman Empire did it with silver coins. The Chinese dynasties did it with paper notes. The French monarchy did it before the revolution. Every time an empire debased its money, the people paid the price. Today, our global system is repeating the same script. Since 1971, the dollar lost 86% of its value. Housing costs rose 12x. College tuition rose 15x. Median wages barely doubled. This is not inflation. This is a transfer of economic power. From savers to borrowers. From workers to banks. From citizens to governments. Economic freedom was not taken away. It was exchanged for the illusion of stability. What this means for you ***. So what do we take from this? Takeaway 1. Money is no longer a store of value. It is a tool of policy, created and manipulated by central institutions. Takeaway 2. Debt is the foundation of the economic machine. When you borrow, you aren't failing. You're participating in the system exactly as designed. Takeaway 3. Economic freedom only exists when you control your money. Not banks. Not governments. Not inflation. We are entering a period where the old financial system is cracking. Debt levels are unsustainable. Currencies are weakening. And nations are preparing for a new era. Likely digital, centralized, and more controlled than ever before. You can't stop this shift, but you can understand it, prepare for it, and protect yourself from becoming a silent victim of a system designed to keep you borrowing forever. If you found this video eye-opening, share it, comment your thoughts, and subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden forces shaping our financial future. Because this story isn't over. It's only beginning.